I'd go to class and then I'd have a 3 hour break. I'd get in a car and drive out to Costco. So I'd like make a bunch of product, ruin some product, put it in the fridge for that evening, and then I'd go run back to class. So I'd get like very creative with it. I would like leave cookies in the oven and say to my friends, like, make sure they don't burn. And like inevitably they'd forget and they'd burn. And I
Yeah,
would start
right.
over.
How much of your product got eaten before it even had a chance to get out the door?
I don't know if I had a strong inventory management system at the time.
Hey everyone, welcome to How Success Happens. I'm Dan Bova, writer and editor at entrepreneur.com. And man, I sure wish I was at today's guest headquarters rather than in my stupid basement where there's currently a severe cookie drought going on. Seth Berkowitz is the founder and CEO of Insomnia Cookies. And after more than 20 years in the baking biz, we're going to find out if success really does have a sweet smell. You know, that made a lot more sense when I wrote it down rather than when I said it, and it sounded very stupid, but we're just going to keep pushing forward, and we're going to welcome Seth. Seth, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, so give us the sort of elevator pitch of Insomnia Cookies. I mean, you're known, you're well known, but just for those who don't know, what's Insomnia Cookies all about?
So Insomnia is a 350 store or bakery plus system. We have locations in the U.S., throughout the entire United States, continental U.S., in England, and in Canada. And our premise is simple, right? We serve a singular craving of a warm, delicious cookie, accessible through all hours of the night. So we're open till 3 o'clock in the morning, most days of the week. We have our own delivery personnel. We focus a lot on executing against a warm, delicious product at every single touch point. And we have a ton of fun doing it. Warm cookie makes all moments better. And we're trying to prove that that could scale throughout the world.
That is awesome and is killing me because I haven't had lunch yet. And as you're describing that, I'm just like, oh my God, I wish I had one right now. So I love how you first came up with this idea, which I'd love for you to tell everybody.
Sure. So I started Insomnia when I was a junior in college. And I guess the semester beforehand, there was this moment that I experienced, I'm sure many college students do, where, I don't know, I'd lost a video game or whatever. It was my turn to answer the door. And I went and answered the door, and there was a pizza delivery guy on the other side of it, which is doesn't say a ton, except that I feel like I recognized him because it was the third time that night I'd opened the door and he was there. And I remember turning to my buddies. I lived with a bunch of good friends my last 3 years of college, and so they were used to me being a little bit quirky and provocative. But I said, like, "What is with this? Like, why do we keep getting delivery pizza? It's just the same pizza over and over again." Like, I think I slammed the pizza box on the table for effect, and I'm like, "I want something different." And they're like, "Walk to Wawa," which is this great kind of regional grocer or
Yes.
convenience store in Philly. And I looked outside; it was snowing. And I was like, I cannot brave the elements right now. Whatever, I'll dig into this pizza. And I think at some point, like later that evening, I was like, a warm cookie, something delivered to us that would be sweet, would really solve what ails me right now. And I ultimately set out to solve that problem.
So my follow up to that is I think most people, there's whether it's every day or whatever, there's some moment where you're like, oh, I wish someone would do this, or oh, I wish someone would do that. But there's a small handful of people that actually follow through on that notion and actually do the thing. So my question to you is what worked for you? What pushed you to say like this isn't just like a fun idea. This is like an idea I'm going to do.
I was at this very natural, what felt like to me a natural inflection point in life. I was a couple of years out of my parents' home. And I was a couple years away from entering the workforce, and I had no idea what was next. Like I couldn't visualize what the future was going to look like. I didn't couldn't imagine working in finance, which is where I went to school, was like very a big focus area. And I was thinking to myself, what would comfort me? What would like be something very nice to have right now? Like a cookie kind of served that idea. Um, and it particularly served that idea because, like, I'll have it at 2 o'clock in the morning. So it's not that I'm back at my parents' house and I'm a kid, right? Like, this is a future forward idea, right? I'm an
Right.
adult. 2 o'clock in the morning, that's crazy, that concept. And so it had like this emotional texture to it that gave me a lot of like a really some serious resolve that I could attempt to make a business out of it because it just connected to where my mind was at the time. Um, and so from there, I just rolled up my sleeves and started baking cookies, and the customer guided me from that point forward.
So yeah, can you talk a little bit about those early days and then we'll get into all the incredible stuff you're into now, but rolling up your sleeves and doing it, selling it, getting the word out. What were those early days like?
Chaos, and is the best word to describe it because I was still in school. So I'd go to class in the morning and then I'd have a 3 hour break. I'd get in a car and drive out to Costco and I'd pick up all the ingredients. I'd come back and I was like becoming a pretty strong baker, but I was still learning, right, on the fly. So I'd like make a bunch of product, ruin some product, right? Put it put it in the fridge for that evening, and then I go run back to class and I turn on my phone at I think at the time when I've launched, I would open at 4 and close at 2. And I would turn on my phone, and maybe not even 4 it was like maybe 8 to 2 in the first couple of years actually. I turn on my phone and then the orders would just start coming in and I would bake them up and I'd deliver them out. And when they reached a point where it was like 10, 15 orders a night, I couldn't really bake to order. So I had to get like very creative with it. I would like leave cookies in the oven and say to my friends, like, make sure they don't burn. And like inevitably they'd forget and they'd burn and I
Yeah,
would start
right.
over. So it was a lot of testing and learning a system and then recognizing this can be a one-man band for a short time frame. But ultimately there's a real business here. Like the school newspaper wrote an article and all of a sudden I was getting 40, 50, 60 deliveries a night. And then I started hiring some support.
Wow. And I wonder, as you're saying that you're living in a house with a bunch of guys, like how much of your product got eaten before it even had a chance to get out the door?
I don't know if I had a strong inventory management system at the time, so I don't know, but I do know there's a guy on my third floor. My buddy would call like almost every night. I'd be like, "Can you deliver cookies?" I'm like, "You're on the third floor. Can you come down?" He's like, "No, I'm paying for them. Please bring them up to the third floor," which is reasonable, and I did. But yeah, I don't listen. They were super generous with everything about it, right? I took over the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's not like we were using it that often, but I took it over. I was using, the utilities. Um, and so I was happy to share in some of those sweets, share some sweets with them.
That's great. And I mean, I think people should remember the time we're talking about. We're sort of used to being able to get almost anything delivered to our door now, but this is well before any of that was the norm.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we had 3 delivery options, which is why the pizza story is more relevant to me than it probably is to, kind of more current times. But we had a sandwich shop, Chinese restaurant, pizza shop. That was it. Three delivery options, period. And at like midnight, it was down to one.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So yesterday, as we're recording this, was National Cookie Day. Tell me, what is National Cookie Day to you? Is it Christmas, the Super Bowl, and the Academy Awards all rolled up into one? How big does it factor into your life?
I mean, there's a bunch of days of the year that are uniquely insomnified, I'd say. Valentine's Day is really, really substantial for us. It's just a wonderful day for gifting and shareability, and like that's what insomnia is all about. National Cookie Day, it's a moment where the cookie actually gets elevated, so you can participate in a lot of the hoopla. And so we had so much fun with it this year. It was truly the best version of it that I've seen maybe ever in Insomnia's history. And it was all predicated on this idea of kind of treasure hunting. Like we had 100 insomniacs lining up at every store, and if you bit into a cookie, there's a buttercream in it, one of which was purple. You'd receive cookies for a year for 2026. So we kind of just played it up. We had a lot of fun with it. And it's just like it's one of those times you actually like step back and see what's been built, and you can really see the Insomnia brand playing out in a way that I always hoped it could be.
That's so awesome. Did you run into any people who like try to use like a purple Sharpie and color in the middle of the cookie and claim it was the one?
I think we did get a couple of submissions that were doctored, I'd say.
Suspect.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great. That's so
Yeah.
awesome. speaking of success, I mean, when you started out in your mind, what was your kind of definition of success? And as now 350 locations, and we'll talk about your partnerships with like the Knicks and things like this. But what was your initial like, this is what success means to me, and what does it mean now?
The amazing thing is that the bigger the brand gets, the more opportunity that's in front of us. So I always said the 100 biggest college campuses in the country, right? If we just get there, that'll be tremendously successful. We have 230 college campus locations around the country now. Um, and since then, we've basically followed the life's path of our insomniacs. They graduate from college. Lots of people will move into kind of dense major cities. We've opened in cities, and then people, will oftentimes leave the city and head into the suburbs at some point in their journey. And now we're starting to enter into there. So like, the definition of success, I mean, truthfully, like I had no anticipation that insomnia could be at this scale. I really loved what I was doing. I felt the consumer appreciated the product, the warm deliciousness of it, the delivery service, and there could be more in front of us. And I tried to march ahead as fast as I could, but it just keeps widening, it's really exciting.
That's awesome. So when you, I mean, it sounds like you pretty much, when you started, you pretty much had a very early indication that, okay, people want this and this is going to get bigger quicker than I ever imagined. Were there any moments that gave you the like, uh-oh, like, okay, things weren't going in the right direction? Was there anything that you had to kind of course correct for?
I tried to engineer the whole business around this idea that the warm cookie bite should be perfect. So like it was like this engineered system, how often we baked, how we delivered it, the fulfillment process, and I was like very maniacal about it, and that seemed to really work well and resonate. But I needed a certain amount of scale to be profitable, and so with like 3 stores, 5 stores, they worked, the moments worked, the insomniacs were excited, but it didn't add up to much. And so it took a while, and it took a while to like really understand that a retail business was still necessary. Like we needed to have street side, incredibly impactful, late night, thoroughfare driven retail. And then if we attached our delivery system to that, it created enough brand awareness to be successful.
So, what would you say to people who are maybe experiencing similar problems?
I've always been a believer in growing fast when you understand the opportunity in front of you, not just to grow for growth's sake. So I think insomnia, and maybe for better or for worse, I mean, it's worked for us, but like there was this kind of minimum viable product idea. Like we weren't going to open up an expensive retail shop or 10 of them. We'd open up one to make sure that that worked, right? We tried a vending truck, it worked. We tried a second, it worked. We opened 10. Actually, those didn't work. So we had to stop and pivot. So I believe in trial and real experimentation, but like clear measurement of the testing and learnings. And when you feel like you have the correct data and you're confident in the approach, then go really, really fast. I think people sometimes put the cart before the horse.
So, we're talking about expanding, 350 bakeries. You talked about being so maniacal about that one aspect of the cookie. So my question is, as you expand, how do you ensure that all of these places are doing it the way you envisioned it and that it's delivering the customer experience that you want?
I mean, it's a great question, right? I think with scale always comes the opportunity for like that core message to be diluted, right? You're getting wider and wider, further away from the original founding. So some of it comes from training, right? You need to be incredibly organized around your training process, making sure that your operating procedures are clear and digestible for your teams. And then you have to be data oriented, right? Like there's certain KPIs and metrics that allow us to understand what a successful order looks like. And are we sharing that with the teams? Are we educating? Are we guiding? And are we holding people to them? I mean, that's so far has proven to be our best path to success to make sure that experience is wonderful. And then we talk to customers. I mean, talk to customers. This is something I did, originally. I spend as much time as I can understanding the we call them insomniacs, like the lens that they have of the business, how it's evolving, how their preferences are evolving, and make sure that our understanding of expectations are their understanding of expectations and that we're exceeding them.
So talk to me about Insomniacs because this community that you built, like how do you foster that? How do you make people feel like this is their brand? I'm an insomniac. Like I love this. I'm part of it. How do you nurture that?
I mean, I think some of it comes down to that emotional moment I talked about at the beginning. Like insomnia, it provides a warm cookie. It creates a connection. Like a warm cookie is a connecting, has connective tissue in it. And so can you generate that over and over again to create, further brand love, really further tethering with our insomniacs? Like I think for us, that's the singular principle. But then there's the part of like, how do we if you understand expectations, how do we wow them? Like, how do we create what seems like a simple concept and silly concept yesterday, and a lot of guys like this purple cookie, and just create something that's new and unexpected, and a reason to believe in it and enjoy the brand. Like, it can't just be product; it has to be product and like a really strong positioning to really connect.
So what does it mean to you, something that you started, in your essentially your dorm room, and now you're in Madison Square Garden, being sold at Knicks games. You're also being sold at Philadelphia Flyers. Boo! No, that's amazing for your business. I'm a Rangers fan, but what does it mean to you to like see that?
So, I'm a big sports fan. I'm actually an Islander fan, so I understand your Flyers feelings. But I'm also a Philly person these days, certainly working in that market for over 20 years. Our approach to sports has been our approach to almost everything, right? We believe in this concept of unparalleled reach. We want our insomniacs to enjoy our product in unexpected places, right? And create it. And when you think of sports, we want insomnia to be a little bit in the back of your mind, right? And because it's so prevalent in society. So that was the kind of the brand building component. But insomnia is so powerful in a stadium kind of setting because the cookies come out quick, they're warm. You can like in between half times or periods in hockey, you can run out into the concourse and get a cookie and get back to your seat before the next tip or they drop the puck. And I felt very strongly that it worked really well for everything we were trying to go after. It would build awareness, it would be product focused, and it could wow the consumer and exceed those expectations. And so far, in all three instances, I think it's working really well, and we're hopeful we can kind of go a little bit deeper in the coming years.
Is there a insomnia cookie puck on the way?
It's been no, but it's been discussed, but no.
So when things are going great, it's great, but as any small business owner will say, it doesn't always go great, and there's moments of stress. What have you learned about keeping calm in stressful moments? Over this past 20 plus years, a lot has happened in the world that's put in a tremendous amount of stress on businesses, big and small. How do you kind of find your way through stressful times? How do you keep your decision making clear and your head clear?
I think in moments I struggle like everybody, right? You could see what's happening around you. I mean, in COVID, like it was incredibly challenging for the whole universe. It goes without saying. Um, but that moment was really an opportunity to reinvent the brand in the way the consumer needed. Like we had this college base of stores, and then one day, every college campus, the students had left, right, overnight. And so, how could we reach them? And so, we quickly pivoted to nationwide shipping. We were able to put cookies and send them through the mail. We expanded our delivery zones, and we reached insomniacs in a way that no one else could. I always feel like I've been forged through challenge because 23 years is a long time, and I've seen the challenges in the financial crisis time frame, and certainly in COVID. And there's just been a lot to digest in my seat. And through the more challenging times, I think the business has always come out stronger.
Let's get into a little bit of process porn, as I just called it. Sounds disgusting, but can you talk us through the process of? I mean, you have so many cookies on the menu. What's the process from idea to this is something someone can buy?
Yes, I mean, our cookie innovation process is marketing driven. So like we're looking for cultural moments to connect our insomniacs to. So like, I mean, Valentine's Day is a cultural moment, right? So how do you build a cookie around Valentine's Day that's relevant and easy to connect to the consumer with? So we'll have a bunch of ideation around it. We'll say we need something for Valentine's Day. We've done red velvet for years, so like we'll constantly shift on that a little bit. And then we will go directly on Tuesdays, we call them Tasting Tuesdays, to our insomniacs in our flagship bakery, and we'll speak to them. We'll get back data from how they feel about a wide array of cookies. We'll take that and oftentimes we'll put it into other bakeries and just make sure that the purchasing intent, that the quality of the product exceeds expectations, right? That's the singular goal there. And then sometimes we'll go a different path. We'll say, all right, what if we do something that just sparks interest, that's differentiated? Um, we did a bagel spice cookie like years ago, and like half the people loved it, half the people hated it, but it was great for business, right?
Right,
And
right.
so there's all sorts of ways to engage, but I really do like connecting the cookie to culture because then there's a real 360 view of what you're trying to accomplish and get in people's minds. Like when they're experiencing Valentine's Day, when they're experiencing March Madness, when they're experiencing back to campus, right? Insomnia is going to have something new and inventive and inviting to give you a reason to buy.
That's great. That's awesome. So we have a question of the week. Subscribers to our How Success Happens newsletter were asked to give a problem they wish a business would solve for them. And we had one reader, Mark, write in and say, I wish there was an alarm clock type gadget that would give me an alert when my avocados were ready to eat. I always wait too long, forget they're there, and by the time I cut into them, they're black mush. So, Seth, any thoughts on that? Any solutions for Mark? Did you think that's a good idea?
I mean, it's an interesting question. I feel like we all get this one wrong, right? But like avocados, I assume ripen at a certain rate based on the temperature around you. So like you probably don't need a device to figure it out. You just need to mark when you bought it and where it was, like whatever the firmness of it was at the time. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a big wasted problem for sure. And I know we're big avocado eaters. I get it.
All right, great. Well, that he sent that in by subscribing to our How Success Happens newsletter, which you can do. It's info.entrepreneur.com/HSH. And we also got a reader question for you. This came from Lisa. Have you seen any impact on sales from Ozempic? Is that cutting into cookies?
It's a great question. I mean, I think it's cutting into consumption for sure across the kind of the food universe. Our demographic is younger. I mean, I think we're very Gen Z oriented, very collegiate. I don't know if exactly the Ozempic data is showing to be quite as prevalent in that demo. But it's something we see. I know we certainly see like there's the eating patterns are always changing. And if the share of wallet goes down, we need to make sure that we're more exciting and more engaging than ever before, right? It keeps you changing environment and changing landscape keeps you on your toes and it should make you better.
That's great. And just speaking of winning, I'm just glad that cookies are back. Cookies are back on the front. There was a moment where everything was cupcakes. I'm a cookie person, so I applaud your victories here.
No, I appreciate it. Listen, I'll tell you, I watched the frozen yogurt craze, I watched the cupcake craze, and like there's definitely cookies are having a moment for sure. When I think about insomnia though, there's such an element of endurance. There's like this long game nature to us. We've watched others come and go, and like, we try to make sure it's not a trend business.
All right, and now we're gonna get into a quick little speed round. So, Seth, what is a habit that you are happy to have and one that you wish you could ditch?
Habit I'm happy to have. I get home every single night that I can and put my youngest daughter to bed. Um, One that I wish I could ditch is I have a zero inbox policy on my phone, and it's really bad. I wish I didn't have it.
Great. Do you have a favorite way to turn off your business brain?
I put my phone down for 2 hours every evening. I mean, I'll look at it towards just to make sure I didn't miss anything, but like I try to unplug in general.
That's great. What's something that most people love but you secretly can't stand?
Oh man, my team always says about me that I'm very critical of Thanks. I have very strong opinions. Um,
Give us one.
I I didn't like the show The Wire, even though everyone loved it. I really didn't like it.
Really?
Yeah,
You
so much.
monster.
No, I have so many examples of that in entertainment for sure.
Okay, that's great. And then finally, who's the ideal customer for you? Cookie Monster or Santa Claus, both noted cookie eaters?
Oh, that is tough. I mean, it's a Cookie Monster is such a classic. I think always give him the nod.
Okay, sounds good. Excellent. Well, so how can people keep up with all things insomnia? What's the best way for them to know what you guys are up to?
Our website, insomniacookies.com, Instagram, TikTok, all forms of social media, and we try to be engaged in the 3D universe as well. It should see more activations and entertainment coming out of our brand in 2026. So hopefully we're out there all the time.
Awesome, awesome. Well, so great talking to you. Every time you said warm cookie, my stomach gave me a gurgle. So I gotta go. I gotta go bake something. I think, or maybe no. I'm gonna order some insomnia. That's what I'm gonna do. But so great talking to you, man.
You as well.